It was supposed to be a routine public appearance, cameras rolling, smiles on display, and the usual ribbon cutting at the opening of a rural shopping center. But on that day in July 2025, South Africa witnessed something very different. What began as a simple question from a journalist quickly turned into a tense exchange that would follow the deputy president for weeks, raising serious questions about transparency, accountability, and the relationship between power and the press. Welcome to Voxtrends. If you value fearless journalism, deep analysis, and stories that matter, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now and turn on notifications so you never miss an update.
Deputy President, please indulge me on this one. I'm sure you are aware of the reports that have been circulating, particularly with regards to the declarations that you made in Parliament, with regards to the properties that you owned. The issue that perhaps South Africans are concerned about is there seems to be an allegation that senior government officials are using their positions to amass wealth and live in luxury. What is your response, particularly as it pertains to you?
What properties do I own?
The one in Constantia that you declared in Parliament?
No. People must read. That's just first thing you must learn in life. There's nothing in Parliament that I said I own a house. I said I live there. That house is owned by my son-in-law. It's a very simple thing to read. So what's the problem?
Deputy President Paul Mashatile arrived at the event as one of the most powerful men in the country. His presence alone drew attention, but what truly sparked national debate had little to do with the shopping center behind him. Just days earlier, Mashatile had officially declared 2 luxury properties in the Parliamentary Register of Members' Interests. One was a Constantia mansion in Cape Town, valued at 28.9 million rand. The other was a waterfall estate property worth a staggering 37 million rand. In a country where millions struggle with unemployment, rising food prices, and unreliable basic services, these figures immediately raised eyebrows. South Africans wanted answers. How did a career politician afford such properties? Were they bought with loans? Were they gifts? Or were their business interests not fully explained? Enter SABC News journalist Simpiwe Makhanya. Known for calm but persistent questioning, Makhanya approached the deputy president during the event and asked what many South Africans were already asking at home: questions about the properties, questions about wealth, questions about transparency. At first, Mashatile appeared composed, but it didn't take long for irritation to show. As the journalist pressed on, asking about the Constantia home, the deputy president abruptly shut the line of questioning down. He insisted that the Cape Town mansion did not belong to him, claiming instead that it was owned by his son-in-law. The tone shifted instantly. What could have been a clear, calm explanation turned into a visibly tense exchange. Mashatile's voice rose. His body language became defensive. He accused the journalist of pushing a narrative and dismissed further questions as unnecessary. The moment felt uncomfortable, especially because it was unfolding live in front of cameras and members of the public. But then came the moment that changed everything. While angrily defending himself and attempting to shut down the conversation, Mashatile made a critical slip. In mid-sentence, while referring to the Constantia mansion, he called it my property. Just 2 words, but those 2 words contradicted everything he had said moments earlier. The journalist paused. Viewers noticed. Social media exploded. Did the deputy president just admit ownership of a house he claimed belonged to his son-in-law? That single moment turned a defensive interview into a national controversy. If you're finding this breakdown insightful so far, don't forget to subscribe to Voxtrends. We break down the stories behind the headlines so you can decide for yourself. Almost immediately after the interview aired, clips began circulating online. Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and WhatsApp groups replayed the exchange again and again. Some slowed it down. Others added captions highlighting the contradiction. The phrase, my property, became a trending topic, symbolizing what many saw as a politician caught off guard by his own words. Critics argued that the deputy president's aggressive response was unnecessary and telling. Instead of calmly clarifying ownership and explaining the financial arrangements, he chose confrontation. To many South Africans, it looked like a man with something to hide. Supporters, on the other hand, rushed to his defense. They argued that Mashatile was being unfairly targeted, that politicians are allowed to own property, and that a slip of the tongue does not automatically equal guilt. Some said the journalist was deliberately provocative, pushing too hard in a public setting. But the damage was already done. The focus shifted from whether Mashatile owned luxury properties to how he handled scrutiny. In democratic societies, public officials are expected to answer tough questions, especially when it comes to wealth and potential conflicts of interest. The press plays a crucial role in holding power accountable, and moments like these test that relationship. What made the situation even more serious was the context. The properties were not rumors or leaks, they were officially declared in Parliament's own register. That made the confusion even harder to explain. If the property was declared, why deny ownership publicly? And if it truly belonged to a family member, why refer to it as my property at such a sensitive moment? Political analysts weighed in quickly. Some suggested that Mashatile may have been speaking casually, not legally, using my in a general family sense. Others argued that such explanations would never satisfy a public already tired of corruption scandals and evasive answers. This incident didn't happen in isolation. South Africa has a long history of leaders facing scrutiny over unexplained wealth, from luxury homes to overseas assets. Each new controversy adds to public frustration, especially when ordinary citizens are told to tighten their belts while leaders appear to live lavishly. The deputy president's reaction also reignited debate about how politicians treat journalists. The aggressive tone, finger-pointing, and dismissal of legitimate questions were widely criticized. Media freedom organizations warned that such behavior sends a chilling message to reporters doing their jobs. Simpiwe Makhanya, for his part, remained professional throughout the exchange. He did not raise his voice, he did not insult the deputy president, he simply asked follow-up questions. That contrast made Mashatile's outburst appear even more damaging. As pressure mounted, calls grew for clearer explanations. Opposition parties demanded transparency. Civil society groups urged Parliament to review the declarations carefully. Ordinary South Africans asked a simple question: if there is nothing to hide, why react with anger? The phrase, "it backfired badly," became a perfect summary of the situation. What could have been a moment to reassure the public instead deepened suspicion. What could have been a routine media interaction turned into a viral symbol of political arrogance, at least in the eyes of critics. And yet, this story is not just about one man or one interview. It is about accountability in leadership. It is about the expectation that those in power should be able to explain their wealth clearly, calmly, and honestly. It is about the role of journalists in asking uncomfortable questions, even when it makes powerful people angry. If you believe these conversations matter, now is the perfect time to subscribe to Voxtrends. Your support helps keep these discussions alive. In the days following the interview, attempts were made to clarify the situation through statements and political allies. But in the age of viral media, first impressions matter. The image of an angry deputy president contradicting himself on camera proved hard to erase. For many South Africans, the incident reinforced a familiar pattern. Leaders often promise transparency, but when confronted directly, frustration and defensiveness take over. That disconnect continues to erode public trust, one clip at a time. As the dust settles, one thing is clear: the July 2025 interview will be remembered not for the opening of a rural shopping center, but for a moment when power, pressure, and public accountability collided on live television. Whether Paul Mashatile intended to reveal more than he meant to, or whether it was truly just a slip of the tongue, the consequences were real. In politics, words matter, and sometimes a single sentence can undo an entire defense. This is Voxtrends, bringing you the stories behind the scenes, beyond the headlines. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you like the video, share it with others, and subscribe for more powerful stories just like this.